Atari. One of the oldest video game consoles without including the Odyssey, and to be honest with you, this is a console that can be considered classic. I mean, the amount of great games is alright, and the graphics aren't that bad for its time, and the lack of music and sound effects just adds more glory to it. The Atari 2600 was one of the longest lifespans of any home console, and to this day forward, playing an Atari 2600 is still fun, even with the lack of graphics. However, the Atari 5200 was made during the time of the Atari 2600 and it failed miserably, and the Atari 5200 faded away. The gaming crash would then come by, and that would be the chance for the NES and the Sega Master Systems to come out into the world and would make gaming back to being fun. The Atari 7800 would then come by and would try and gain the popularity it had back then, but would fail to compete against Nintendo and Sega. The Atari Lynx would then be released, and it did fine, but it wouldn't really stand a chance against the more successful handhelds, the Nintendo Game Boy and the Sega Game Gear. Sega and Nintendo are still in steady competition, with the Genesis and the SNES both being 16-bit. But in 1993, the Atari Jaguar would then come by and would be announced as the first 64-bit console. Now, it is debated whether the Atari Jaguar is 64-bit or not, but to be honest with you, it doesn't really seem 64-bit. I mean, when you come think of it, does it really seem like the graphics and the RAM has improved compared to the SNES or the Genesis? Both the SNES and the Genesis are great in their own ways, but the Atari Jaguar is just another different story. The games on this console just don't seem to add up to 64-bit and don't really seem much of an improvement compared to 16-bit. I mean, let's take a look at a few of the games, like Zool 2. Zool 2 is a decent game and it is a bit hard to get through, but look at the speed and the graphics of the game. The console doesn't really seem to run smooth, and the graphics are not much different from a Genesis or an SNES, and those were 16-bit if I have to admit that. Now, you may say that I'm just picking on this one solo game and I'm not giving any other games a chance, but look at the games like Cybermorph and Tempest. They don't really seem to be 64-bit, and even if they are 64-bit, these games should at least run smooth like Super Mario 64. Other than that, the console is either 16-bit or kind of 32-bit, but nowhere near 64-bit. The controller? Well, I really don't know what to say about the controller, other than that it's really big and it seems uncomfortable to play with. The weird part is, why is there a keypad? I mean, are they really trying to make a console into a phone? I mean, it's no longer the 80s, so I don't understand why keypads need to be in controllers anymore. I mean, I think it would be better without the keypad. But I don't know if you knew this, but the Atari Jaguar had an add-on called the Atari Jaguar CD, and I'll tell you this, that add-on failed miserably. I mean, if anything, all you will most likely ever get in result is a red screen of death, which is probably pretty annoying to get. So it's not even recommended to get the Atari Jaguar CD, because you will end up with a broken system. Bottom line, the Atari Jaguar pretty much failed and was the last console to be seen by Atari. Sure, if this console wasn't bad as it was now, then we would have most likely seen Atari make one more console. Either that or they would be still in competition with the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the Wii U. However, the only really good thing I can say about the Atari Jaguar is that it most likely had the best version of Doom. I mean, the graphics seem that they have improved from the horrific 32X, and also has some good games. So in honesty, it's not the worst console, but it has loads of flaws. Overall, I'll give this console a 2.5 out of 10. Yeah, not the best rating, but oh well.